Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on the News Block. I'm Kendall Green. We'll get to those stories in a moment, but let's take a live look outside right now. It's beautiful, it looks good, but looks are deceiving. Let's bring in meteorologist Audrey Puente for the look at our forecast. Hey, good evening, Audrey.
That is true, Kendall. You nailed it, because it looks nice outside your window, but when you step outdoors, it sure feels cold out there. Right now, our temperature readings are near the freezing mark in many spots. We're at 32 exactly in Central Park. Same thing in Islip. It's 32 in Bridgeport, too. 30 degrees being found in White Plains. It's 29 in Poughkeepsie. Monticello is our cold spot on the map right now, checking in at 23 degrees. Let's take a look at the wind speeds. This is a factor today. Right now, the sustained winds are between 10 and 15 miles per hour, but the gusts are even higher than that. We're gusting to 28 in Islip, 36 in Bridgeport, 23 mile per hour gusts being found in White Plains, and 26 up towards Poughkeepsie. So when we factor that in with the current temperatures, this is what it actually feels like outside. We have wind chills in the 20s in many spots, including New York City. And up to the north, we're finding wind chills in the teens, like in Poughkeepsie and Monticello. It's going to be chilly for the rest of the afternoon and into the evening, and we're also tracking some snow. There's some snow showers coming downwind of the Great Lakes right now, and some of those could creep as far south as parts of the Hudson Valley. We'll talk more about that and how long this chill is going to last coming up. Kendall?
All right, thank you, Audrey. Well, a developing story we're following for you at this hour. Israel and Hamas appear to be on the cusp of a ceasefire deal and a hostage release. Hamas says it's accepted the agreement, while Israeli officials say they're finalizing the details. The primary focus of this release of the hostages, and some 100 people are still being held captive inside Gaza. Now, the military believes at least a third of them are dead. Now, President Joe Biden expressing optimism yesterday that this deal will get done before he leaves office.
So many communities have been destroyed. The Palestinian people deserve peace and the right to determine their own futures. Israel deserves peace and real security. And the hostages and their families deserve to be reunited.
If a deal is reached, it wouldn't go into effect immediately. It would still need approval from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's security cabinet, followed by his full cabinet. Now, the clock is ticking down to the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump next week, and the pace in Washington is ramping up as the Senate confirmation hearings of cabinet picks kicked off this morning with Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth. Now, Navy SEALs, veterans, and patriots coming together to support Hegseth this morning, marching from the Vietnam Memorial to Capitol Hill. The former Fox News host and Army National Guard officer is expected to face the toughest battle for confirmation of any of the president-elect's cabinet picks. He's likely to be questioned about his past allegations of sexual assault. Before he spoke, protesters had to be removed from the Senate hearing. And here's some of what he had to say about how he'll approach the critical role.
The primary charge he gave me was to bring the warrior culture back to the Department of Defense. He, like me, wants a Pentagon laser-focused on lethality, meritocracy, warfighting, accountability, and readiness.
All of this comes just days before the inauguration next Monday. Signs of the physical preparations are underway throughout Washington, D.C. They include multiple layers of security put in place by federal law enforcement agencies. Well, New York Governor Kathy Hochul delivering the state of the state today. The address is a wish list of legislation she intends to put forth next year. Now, the theme of the governor's Hochul's address is to make New York more affordable and safer for you and your family. In Albany, Hochul called for a sweeping middle-class income tax cut. She says this will deliver the lowest rates in 70 years and save hardworking taxpayers nearly $1 billion in savings. And she also proposed the nation's first inflation refund to put money back in the pockets of New Yorkers affected by inflation.
The fact is, many Americans, not just New Yorkers, have been hit hard by inflation since COVID. Because prices went up, our sales tax revenue went up as well. But I believe this: that extra money does not belong in state coffers. It belongs back in your pocket.
In regards to safety, Governor Hochul says she wants to put a police officer on every subway train between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. and strengthen the state's laws so that people suffering from severe mental illnesses can get the help they need. Again, the address is a wish list, and all of her plans still need to be approved by lawmakers. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy also delivering his State of the State address this afternoon. This is a live look at the State House in Trenton, where that's happening. His address is expected to focus on delivering economic security and opportunity to every New Jerseyan. Murphy has said he wants to make the state the best state in the country to live, work, and raise a family. Well, breaking news. Crews are ramping up their efforts to put out those hot spots and monitor dry brush as another red flag warning goes into effect in Los Angeles. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has more on California's wildfires.
More firefighters and more water tankers have arrived right here in Los Angeles County as they brace for another round of strong Santa Ana winds. Southern California once again under a red flag warning days after massive fires broke out around Los Angeles County. Wind gusts will not be as powerful as last week's, but officials warn they could be strong enough to turn one spark into something more.
It's so dry because of these winds that the brush or fuel, if an ember lands on it, has a 65% of ignition. Some
14,000 crews from multiple states, as well as Mexico and Canada, are staging on the ground and in the air. And CAL FIRE is asking people here to avoid certain high-risk activities.
That means like no mowing right now if you're going to run over a rock. If you're driving, make sure you're not driving a chain.
In just 1 week, fires have burned more than 40,000 acres. One estimate now puts the cost at more than $250 billion.
This is all ashes here.
And there's a growing number of people looking to take advantage of the victims, from price gouging to looting. Some residents who stayed behind say they've started their own neighborhood watch.
We go out and film the car, and they can see us with a license plate, and then they disappear really quickly.
Fire officials are telling people in high-risk areas not to wait for formal evacuation warnings and just leave their homes if they do sense any fire danger. In Los Angeles County, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
The Fox Corporation has made a $1 million donation to the Red Cross California wildfires relief efforts. And you can join our support in helping those who are impacted. Just visit go.fox/Red Cross or scan the QR code on your screen. Well, residents here in the tri-state are extending a helping hand to our neighbors out west. Fox 5's Jody Goldberg shows us how folks on Long Island are really stepping up in the time of need.
From stores,
they need batteries, first aid kits, so just to be able to get by.
To nonprofits.
Our biggest thing is service before self.
The Long Island community is collecting donations for victims of the wildfires in California and coming together while doing so.
Here we are providing space. Here we are also providing whatever kind of resources we have. And of course, here we are providing spiritual resources.
Churches are opening their doors to store donations collected by shops. Local Rotary clubs are also pitching in.
Our plan is to send one truck and then send another truck 3 or 4 weeks later when they would need more stuff and kind of people start to forget about the tragedy.
Designer clothing store Steve and Dan in Great Neck and Greenvale collected close to 100 bags of generous donations from the community. Boxes blocked the sidewalk in Sag Harbor, where donations collected by the Little Red Planet will be LA bound by week's end.
And if you're looking to provide immediate assistance to nonprofit organizations already on the ground, World Central Kitchen is cooking for first responders and affected families. There's also Direct Relief, a nonprofit that's providing emergency medical supplies for first responders and displaced families. And then there's Pasadena Humane. They're accepting donations to help pets and wild animals affected by the fires.
I would say financial donations is the easiest thing that a person can donate.
The Long Island chapter of the American Red Cross is doing its part too.
Roughly around 3 volunteers from Long Island itself are deploying within the next couple of days, and they'll be providing mass care, feeding, distribution of emergency supplies, and sheltering.
Sue Piccolo with the Lions Club International is collecting monetary donations. As for why the tremendous turnout, she says the country helped our community come back after Superstorm Sandy, and this is the least she can do.
They need a roof, they need a house, they need us to be there for them.
Lending a helping hand to make an unimaginable situation a little more manageable. On Long Island, Jody Goldberg, Fox 5 News.
Well, the MTA is releasing preliminary numbers at how congestion pricing impacted the flow of traffic over the last week. Now, early data shows a 7.5% decrease in daily traffic, which translates to about 43,000 fewer cars a day in the congestion zone compared to the same time last year. And the first time in the nation's tolling program imposes a $9 toll fee on most passenger cars entering Manhattan below 60th Street during peak hours, and higher fees on trucks and other vehicles. The MTA also says that travel times improved at the inbound bridges and tunnels during the morning commute, with drivers getting into the city 30 to 40% faster. The MTA says the ridership appears to have slightly increased too. Monday through Thursday of last week saw an average of 3.7 million riders compared to 3.4 million during the same weekdays last year. Well, Beyonce reveals a pause in her previously scheduled announcement today. In her statement shared on Instagram, the singer explained that she decided to delay the news in light of the ongoing wildfires in Los Angeles. Now, the decision to postpone the announcement came just hours after she donated $2.5 million on behalf of the Be Good Foundation to LA relief funds. She concluded the statement by urging fans to support those impacted by visiting her public charity foundation, Be Good's website. Well, speaking of being good, the weather, it looks good, it looks pretty, but it's not what it looks like out there. Let's bring in meteorologist Audrey Puente. It's deceiving.
It is. It's sunny out there. However, it's pretty cold. And in some parts of the area, we're seeing more in the way of cloud cover and a few snowflakes flying, too. That's really around Sullivan and Ulster counties here, maybe a few across northern Putnam County. They're all coming in downwind of the Great Lakes, where we are seeing lake effect snow showers plaguing areas near Buffalo and Syracuse. Other than that, it's quiet across the nation. High pressure is keeping things that way. So we aren't expecting any major weather systems to affect the region here. As I mentioned, we see a few flakes flying off to the north here, but everyone else will stay dry. In fact, we'll go mostly clear overnight, and that's how we'll start out our Wednesday. We'll have plenty of sunshine. It'll be another cold and blustery day, though, with temperatures feeling like the 20s across the region with that wind chill factor. And it's going to stay cold as we go into Thursday, but the clouds will begin to lighten up, or excuse me, the winds will begin to lighten up as we go into the end of the week. We could see a few lake effect snow showers again reaching downstate by Thursday, and that'll be mostly in the Hudson Valley. So today we're looking for a high of 33 degrees, 34 tomorrow, 32 on Thursday, but all of those will feel more like the 20s. We're back into the 40s for highs by Friday. It'll feel a little better with lower winds. And then on Saturday and Sunday, we have our next chance of precipitation, and it will be in the form of rain because temperatures will be above the freezing mark. Kendall?
All right. Thanks, Audrey. Well, that's your news block for now. I'm Kendall Green, and thank you for joining us. Tune into the 5 o'clock news on Fox 5 and right here on Fox Local for all the day's news as it develops. We'll see you back here tomorrow.